others I do not account of myself to have laid hold, but one thing I do, forgetting the things which are behind, and stretching forward to the things which are before.
Do you see the urgency here? Do you see there's a hunger here? There's even a willingness to pay the price. Forget the things behind. Actually, Paul had a lot of things that he could care about, but he was forgetting those things. And he was what? Stretching forward. This was what was in his heart. This is to run. This is a pursuit. This is a continuous pursuit. Look at all together in 3:14.
I pursue toward the goal, the prize to which God in Christ Jesus has called me upward.
What was inspiring Paul? What was motivating Paul? It was the attraction of Christ. Paul saw something in Christ, and it caused him to exercise like an athlete, pursuing after Christ. Okay. So this is just a glimpse, and in future weeks we'll get further into the New Testament love relationship with the Lord. But I just wanted to come back now to Song of Songs, right? And in this story, there's a progression, right? Song of Songs. I'll start over here and try to map it out. Song of Songs, King of Kings, the King, Christ, or the King Solomon, comes to woo the country girl. And what's she like? She's actually a little bit rough around the edges. She's uncouth. She's unruly. She's stubborn. She's kind of, I don't know, if you get a chance to read the Song of Songs, she's just kind of a frumpy girl. But through this love relationship with Christ, with Solomon, she progresses slowly, overcoming, transcending, loving God further. Loving Solomon further. She overcomes things in her outward environment, in the world, even in the physical environment around her. She overcomes things inside of her that are so subjective that block her from loving Solomon. She overcomes herself. She overcomes her flesh in her. Eventually, she gets all the way to a pinnacle point of love. She reaches the highest, most mature expression of love. And so I'd pause there, and I'd ask you to consider with the person sitting next to you, what is the highest pinnacle of love? What is the most sublime expression of love? It starts off as maybe a crush, appreciation, maybe some adoration, maybe some deeper sense of love. But take a minute and talk with your neighbor. Ask your neighbor, what is the highest form of love? Okay? You go ahead.
Marriage?
Hey, man. Show to the camera. What is the highest form of love?
I think it's marriage.
I like it.
What?
Okay, anybody want to hazard a guess? What's the highest form of love in this progression from country girl through so many stages to the pinnacle of love? What's the highest form of love? Anybody? It's okay. You can hazard a guess.
A wedding?
A wedding. Okay. That's really good. Anybody else? I was when I was posed this question, I was thinking sacrifice. To the point where you would sacrifice yourself, you would sacrifice all these things to love somebody. But I would submit to you that the highest form of love is that the lover becomes one with the object of her love. The highest form of love is that you become what you love. Okay, this is pretty deep. You become the object of what you're loving. So I'll give you an example, try to make this a little more practical. When I was growing up, there's bigger names now in basketball, but when I was growing up, it was MJ, it was Michael Jordan, right? Michael Jordan started off life and he loved basketball. He probably played it a lot, and he progressed, went to UNC, was a star in the NCAA basketball league, and then eventually NBA. Eventually, who Michael Jordan was transcended being a basketball player who loves the sport of basketball, right? Eventually, Michael Jordan became basketball. Is that fair to say? Can you say that? It's like, Michael Jordan is basketball. He actually dabbled in golf. He probably loves that sport. He dabbled in baseball. He probably loves that sport. But not like basketball. He became basketball. Okay? This is an example that's probably maybe a little too simplistic. So let me make it a little more personal. I've been married for almost 2 years. And I realized that the wedding isn't the peak, actually. It's actually just the beginning of a lifelong, progressive love relationship with my wife. And I started noticing about a couple months ago, it's a little embarrassing to me, that my wife started to talk a little bit like me. She would say a certain expression that I know she never said before, and I'm not going to repeat it to you because it's kind of embarrassing. But that expression is my expression. She's saying that because she's been hanging out with me too long. Actually, what's happening here is the expression by being together in this love relationship is becoming one. Do you see that? Now, I can bring this back to Song of Songs. This dumpy country girl, right? She's so unruly, she's so wild, eventually reaches this pinnacle. And let's read what this pinnacle looks like in Song of Songs 6:13. Return, return, O Shulammite. Return, return.
That we may gaze at you. Why should you gaze at the Shulammite, as upon the dance of two camps?
Okay, country girl at the beginning of Song of Songs. Shulammite. Okay, this is really impressive. Shulammite. Shulammite is the feminine form of the name Solomon. Shulammite is Solomon, except feminine. Do you get that? I mean, it sends chills down my spine when I consider that. She went from being a country girl to being an absolute duplication, an absolute match, an absolute counterpart for Solomon through this progressive love relationship. Actually, by the end of Song of Songs, the country girl is transformed. This is a transformative story from a country girl to one who utterly matches the king, Solomon, in his expression, in his desire. Even she was qualified to work with him in his vineyards. This is an ultimate story of love. And the beauty of it is it maps directly to our life with the Lord today. So let's conclude with Ephesians 2:20. For we are his masterpiece, created in Christ Jesus for good works, which God prepared beforehand in order that we would walk in them. Let's read that first part again up to the comma. For we are his masterpiece. Last week we also had this verse, but the word masterpiece in Greek is poema. The word masterpiece in Greek means that we are God's creation to express him, to match him. He's created us in his image so that we could express him. And in this ultimate form of love, can you believe it? We human beings can go from where we are in such a low state to ultimately matching Christ in who he is in his ascended state through a long process of loving him.